What if everything you thought you knew about charity was wrong? We often think of modern philanthropy, with its massive foundations and online campaigns, as a recent invention. But what if I told you its true roots stretch back not just centuries, but millennia? Prepare to uncover the surprising, ancient origins that shaped the very act of giving we see today. When we look at the world of charity now, it's mind-boggling. Billions of dollars are donated annually. Countless organizations are dedicated to every cause imaginable, and crowdfunding can mobilize thousands of people in an instant. But the question is, why? What drives this fundamental human impulse to help? To find the answer, we need to go on a journey back in time, following the threads of generosity that have been woven into the fabric of human history from its very beginning. Our journey starts in the cradles of civilization. In ancient Mesopotamia, long before the first charities as we know them, we see the seeds of communal aid. Legal codes, like the famous Code of Hammurabi, included provisions to protect the vulnerable widows, orphans, and the poor. It wasn't just about law, it was about societal stability and a shared responsibility. They understood that a community is only as strong as its weakest members. This was a form of structured support, an early recognition that society had a duty to care for those in need. Moving across to ancient Egypt, we encounter the concept of Maat. Maat was more than just a goddess. It was a profound ethical and philosophical principle representing truth, balance, order, and justice. Living in accordance with Maat meant acting with honor and righteousness, and a huge part of that was caring for the vulnerable. Egyptian texts and tomb inscriptions frequently mention acts of charity, like feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, and providing for the less fortunate. For the Egyptians, these weren't just nice things to do. They were essential for maintaining cosmic order and ensuring a positive afterlife. This idea that helping others is tied to a greater moral or spiritual purpose is a powerful theme that we'll see echoed throughout history. Now, let's travel to ancient Greece, where the conversation shifts from divine order to civic duty. Greek philosophers like Plato and Aristotle intensely debated the nature of a just society. While they might not have used the word charity, they grappled with ideas of the common good and the responsibilities of citizens. They argued that a healthy city-state, or polis, required its citizens to contribute to its welfare. This wasn't just about paying taxes. It was about a deeper sense of community involvement and mutual support. This philosophical groundwork laid the intellectual foundation for the idea that personal wealth comes with a social obligation. The Romans then took these abstract Greek ideals and turned them into practical, large-scale systems. The Roman Empire was famous for its incredible public works projects, aqueducts, roads, and public baths, which benefited all of society. But they also implemented direct forms of social support. Perhaps the most famous example is the Cura Annoni, or the grain dole, which provided subsidized or free grain to hundreds of thousands of Rome's poorest citizens. This was one of history's first large-scale government welfare programs. Alongside this, private patronage flourished. Wealthy Roman patricians would act as patrons to poorer citizens or clients, providing them with financial support, legal assistance, and food in exchange for loyalty and political support. This system of benevolence, both public and private, was a critical step in moving from philosophical ideas about the common good to concrete, institutionalized systems of aid that affected millions. The next major evolution in the history of giving came with the rise of the world's great monotheistic religions. In Judaism, the concept of tzedakah, often translated as charity, but more accurately meaning justice or righteousness, is a core commandment. Giving to the poor is not seen as an act of generosity, but as an act of justice, a fulfillment of a moral duty to create a more equitable world. Christianity built upon this, emphasizing compassion and love for one's neighbor. Teachings like the parable of the Good Samaritan made it clear that helping those in need, regardless of their background, was a fundamental expression of faith. Early Christian communities were known for their systems of collecting resources to support the poor, the sick, widows, and orphans within their congregations. Similarly, in Islam, zakat is one of the 5 pillars of the faith. It's a mandatory annual donation, a specific percentage of one's wealth that is collected and distributed to the poor and needy. Alongside zakat, sadaqah, or voluntary charity is also strongly encouraged. These religious frameworks didn't just encourage individual giving, they created structured, organized systems for collecting and distributing aid on a massive scale. They embedded the act of giving into the very definition of a righteous life, creating powerful and enduring traditions of philanthropy that continue to this day. As we move into the Middle Ages, these religious principles became even more institutionalized. Monastic orders across Europe became crucial centers of social welfare. Monasteries often ran hospitals, provided shelter for travelers, fed the poor, and were some of the only places where one could receive medical care. At the same time, secular organizations began to emerge. Medieval guilds, which were associations of artisans and merchants, also played a vital role. They didn't just regulate their trades, they created social safety nets for their members. Guilds would provide financial support to members who fell ill, assist the widows and orphans of deceased members, and even pay for funerals. These guilds and monastic orders were the direct ancestors of modern non-profit organizations and foundations. They show us the critical shift from individual acts of kindness to organized, institutionalized charity designed to address long-term social needs. So, how does all of this connect to the world we live in today? The line is surprisingly direct. The Roman idea of public works for the common good echoes in our government-funded social programs. The religious duty to give is still a primary motivator for billions of dollars in donations each year. The structured approach of medieval guilds and monastic orders laid the direct groundwork for the foundations, NGOs, and non-profits that form the backbone of modern philanthropy. When you donate to a cause through a crowdfunding website, you are participating in a tradition of communal support that started thousands of years ago in Mesopotamia. The human instinct to help, to build a better community, and to seek justice for the vulnerable is a powerful thread that connects us to every generation that came before. It transcends time, culture, and geography. The history of charity is the history of humanity. It shows us that our desire to give is not a modern trend, but one of our most ancient and enduring instincts. By understanding these deep roots, we can appreciate that when we contribute, we aren't just writing a check or clicking a donate button. We are participating in a timeless story of human compassion and taking our place in a long line of people who believed they had a responsibility to leave the world a little better than they found it. So, the next time you think about giving, remember the thousands of years of history that led to this moment and become a part of its ongoing evolution. Thanks for watching, and if you found this journey through history as fascinating as I did, be sure to like, subscribe, and join us for our next exploration.